Good vibes are a-rolling in Patriots Nation these days. 5-2 record, 4 straight games, 3 in a row on the road, 2 guys at the top making it happen, and 1 amazing quarterback who is grabbing headlines by the downfield pass. The Drake mania is running wild all over you. However, is it Myles Garrett in the Cleveland Browns defense that's going to be running wild all over Will Campbell and the New England Patriots on Sunday in their homecoming? 4-0 on the road, but 1-2 at home. Will the Wonder Boy be able to take down the Tenacious D of Cleveland? Oh, my God, that's the worst. I'm sorry. I just happen to love that song. All right, you got Fitzy and Mego for the preview. Then we'll be joined by the great Daryl Ruiter of 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland for some behind the enemy lines perspective. It's all coming up on your favorite weekly Patriots podcast, 6 Rings and Football Things preview style. Let's go.
Hey, whatever it takes, man. It's all about winning, all right? Winning on 3. 1, 2, 3, win!
Celebrating the heroes of Foxboro's past.
And with a good block. Look at Grover. Touchdown all the way. Watch the block of number 73, John Hanna.
The champions of the dynastic era.
Adam Vinatieri booms a 48-yard field goal, and the Patriots are Super Bowl champions.
The Patriots of tomorrow.
We're going to remove entitlement from our football team. We're going to earn the right to be here every single day.
And the fans whose faith never wavers. This is 6 Rings and Football Things.
He's been looking real good. He just came in and did his thing. Dylan over there, he's making plays. He's has no turnovers. So I mean that's we want to get the ball off of him, and they got receivers. They got a lot of good skill players over there. So it's going to be a challenge for us, but we're excited for it.
That right there is some duck on duck love. Christian Gonzalez, star cornerback for your New England Patriots, talking up I'm not sure if they were ever actually teammates or not, Mego, but
I don't think so. I think that they missed each other is what he said.
I think they did as well. But yeah, both Oregon Ducks, of course. Dylan Gabriel, 3rd round draft pick, rookie starter for the Cleveland Browns, who've been through at least 2 starters so far this season, could go through 3 or more. Maybe Sunday is Shadur Sanders Day. Wouldn't that make it a special day? I know. I feel the exact same way. How we doing, everybody? Your old pal, Nick Fitzy Stevens, here at the helm, alongside the fabulous, talented, and wonderful Miss Megan Ottolini at Megan_Ottolini with your 6 Rings and Football Things Patriots preview pod of Browns at Patriots. Mego, I have been talking this one up for a little while. Following the Patriots, I won't say demolition, but business-like victory over the Titans last Sunday. A muted, emotional one for Mike Vrabel until, of course, his players and his fellow coaches made sure to remind him that it was a special victory and that he's come a long way and they're doing excellent work in Foxboro. Now comes this, I'm not going to call it a gauntlet because it's not that significant, but there's a 3-game stretch where I think we're really going to find out exactly what this team is made of. Should they be not just a playoff contender, but a legitimate contender in the AFC overall, or will a game at home against the best defense in the NFL, the Browns, followed by a game at home against another tenacious D with an offense that features a legitimate superstar in Bijan Robinson and the Falcons, and then a road trip to take on Baker touchdown maker at Pirate Ship in the End Zone Stadium. If the Pats can win 2 of these 3 games and emerge 7-3, I think we're really talking about a team that, in the snow globe of the AFC, all shaken up, has a shot.
I think you're right. I think that's the right way to categorize it. I don't think even going 1-2 through this game stretch spells doom, or you should lose a ton of confidence in this team being in the playoffs and making a little noise and being a scary team at the end of the year. I do think that this is maybe the most challenging stretch of the entire season, ending with that Tampa Bay trip, which, Baker looks a little bit more human after his performance the other night, but is still probably the second scariest team you see on your schedule. And the Bills look a little less scary because you already defeated them once this season. All that to say, just in terms of looking at a matchup that could really make trouble for Drake May individually, this Cleveland Browns defense is it. Like when
Yep.
when you look at a test for Drake and you want to clap back at people who are saying, "Well, he's just been facing these soft defenses. He's just been facing these soft zones." He let him go up against a real defense and see what happens. Yeah, Cleveland is a 2-5 team, but their front four, as Josh McDaniels told me yesterday when I asked him about it, is exceptional. I mean, this is the scariest pass rush that he will see all season. And if he can handle this and make hay out of this, then he's going to shut a lot of people up for at least a couple months.
Yeah, Myles Garrett is built like a cartoonishly ripped superhero and is playing like one as well. He has to be accounted for on every snap. And like I said in the intro, Will Campbell is going to have his hands full and then some, maybe even possibly shuttle some help over his side. Jared Wilson has struggled at times, been a little better in pass pro, obviously, than run blocking. And I don't want people to be duped into believing that, oh, the run game got going last week. You faced the 32nd, so the worst rush defense in the NFL, and it got better when Jeffrey Simmons left the game as well. So they're going to have their hands. Mason Graham, the rookie that Cleveland acquired when they traded with the Jaguars so they could get Travis Hunter and underutilize him. Mason Graham has been awesome as advertised, best defensive lineman in college football last year. They're great at every level. And don't let the fact that Cleveland has given up a bunch of points a couple times deceive you. They do get after the quarterback. They're really difficult to run on. And yeah, they lead the league in yards allowed per game. So I don't believe this is going to be one of those Sundays, Mego, where we're going to see like, oh, Drake, like Patriots PR and at NFL tweeting out all these sort of like Drake May is the first quarterback to complete 97% of his passes and throw 3 backwards touch. Like, no, this is going to be head down, grind it out for 60 minutes, get the dub.
It's going to be a reality check in one way or another. And it's going to be either a reality check that Drake May is not somebody who you can count on to have a 100 plus passer rating every single game this season, except for week 1. He has 6 straight so far, going back to week 2. Like that, he is still a little bit more of a work in progress than I think people maybe want to count on because the progress that he's shown has been so rapid. His ascent has been so fast. Or it's going to be a reality check to people like me who are saying this is unsustainable for them to count so much on Drake May for their offense and for these wins and to carry the entire team. And I'm going to have to shut up. Like if he puts up
Yep.
over
No downer calls from you into the post game on Sunday.
over 25 points on this team on Sunday on this defense, then I will need to shut up. I will need to not totally shut up because I still have to do these podcasts, but I'll need to shut up a little bit about saying this is not a sustainable way to play football.
Yeah, Alex Ham, who's joined us live on Facebook as we record the latest Six Rings and Football Things. I'm getting so much criticism for selecting the Browns over the Patriots. I truly see this as a trap game. I'm not saying Cleveland's a better team, but turnovers is what will cause us. They will crack Stevenson.
I don't even think like people look at this as a trap game, right? Like if you pay attention to the Browns, they're the best defense in the league.
Right.
And
the Patriots are coming in as everyone's favorite offense, as with everyone's superhero, Drake May. Like they are getting all of the, save for whatever the Chiefs are starting to accumulate now positively as well, because Mahomes is kind of getting his act together, obviously, as well. 31-0 last weekend against the Raiders. I think the Raiders ran like 20 plays and it wasn't even that close. But yeah, so like here comes Drake can do no wrong. He completes every pass. Steph Diggs, unbelievable. Kayshawn Booty, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they've garnered all that buzz for a reason. But like Sunday, we find out, is it a little too much? I don't think they're paper tigers. I just think that like they've been doing what the schedule has asked of them to do, at the schedule and the coach, taking advantage of bad teams and bad football, which Vrabel told us when he first took the job. They want to be good enough to take advantage of bad football. They've done that. Now, Cleveland's offense, nothing spectacular, but they do bring in the other Ohio State running back who's running Derrick Henry adjacent these days in Quinshon Judkins. Pats have a great run defense. They're going to test that. You're going to test their ability to control the line of scrimmage and capitalize, be opportunistic if Cleveland turns the ball over. And Drake's got to protect the ball as well. And I fear this could be the week that turnover streak kind of ends for him.
Yeah, that's something that I feel like people have not really talked about that much these past several games since the 5 turnover game against the Steelers, because it's like it's kind of like a no-hitter. Like you just don't, you don't talk
You don't,
about it.
you don't
But
say Macbeth backstage.
right, lest you jinx him. But it is something that I think we're all kind of like, well, he's due. And if it's going to come against any defense, it's going to come against either this pass rush with the pressure that they bring constantly. And it's not just like an all out blitz, it's just that constant pressure that that front presents. And then they do play more man in the secondary than he's seen in several weeks. And we know that even just from watching with your own two eyes, but hearing from Stephon Diggs, the way that Drake has been able to connect with his receivers, finding those soft spots in the zones that he's seen, this is going to be a different kind of challenge. And especially if you watched last week and you didn't love him taking off with his legs for a couple extra yards on some of these scrambles, I mean, when he's facing man in the secondary, like that might be what he turns to a little bit, especially if he's feeling like he needs to leave that pocket earlier than you'd like because of the pressure he's seeing. I just think that there's a lot of things that the Browns defense are going to present to him as a young quarterback that may get him a little off kilter. Even if he's very prepared, once you see it in game, it's a very different thing.
Good comment right now, watching live on YouTube as we record the Six Rings and Football Things. Browns at Pats preview from Mirth about the Patriots' slow starts. Vrabel needs to start telling the defense that the first half is actually the start of the second half. Patriots don't want to get in a hole against a team that wants to control the line of scrimmage and can chase Drake right out the building as well. And I'd also like to make a note that for anyone that is looking for Travion Henderson, Kyle Williams, Efton Chisholm to quote get going, the Browns defense isn't necessarily the team that, that throws accelerant
Look at
or
special teams for those guys.
Right. You know what I mean? Like this is not the week that the Browns are not going to come in and pour accelerant all over those little Foxboro fire dreams and get people going. Good comment, Francis Toussaint. Going to be physical. We might not have this one. It's going to be tough. Extra plates on the bench, fellas. Yeah. Look, if the Patriots are to squeak this one out or just like control the game box to wire, you're going to have to rely on Drake to be smart. Like he told us Monday on the radio station, be smarter, go down a yard or two before you run into, go down before you run into a possible sack. Don't let someone, drag you down. He bounces his head off the turf far too often. And that's usually an issue.
And I'll say, Fitzy, like, I don't think we need like 10 stories about Drake sliding and how he played baseball. Like, quite honestly, I do think that the stories about, oh, he needs to slide earlier, like, it's kind of obvious, right? Like, we all see it and he knows it. It's just a matter of him in the game being able to, okay, recognize it. And I think
Right.
that comes through. That's one of those things that comes through experience. He knows what he has to do.
Mhm.
In the moment, his instinct is not going to be to do that. So
He's a
gotta-
natural athlete. He's
Yeah.
a baseball
He's
guy,
a
basketball
playmaker,
guy.
but he's a
Yeah.
playmaker, and so he's
Yep.
got to go against his instinct of trying to push for those extra 3 yards or whatever.
Right.
I do think that on the other side is somebody who's been like, I don't think that this is all the most sustainable way to play your offense, and you need to get the run game going and getting the negativity segment on the post game show. I do think we're talking a little too much
Negativity. I
about
forgot Andy's name. It was so
like
perfect.
this is also part of the Drake May experience. Like, of course, you want him to be healthy and
Right.
especially long term. Like, you don't want him to be banging his noggin.
No, you don't
multiple
want
times a
this
season.
career that like should be leading to a $500 million contract
Right.
and prosperity and
But
Patriots Nation to be derailed because of head trauma.
at the same time, this is the way that the position is being played now.
I know.
And so it's some of this is just like, I think a little bit of people looking at having this physical dual threat quarterback and like not being used to that.
He's going to
that
have to play it
experience.
smart. No, he's going to have to play it smart against the best defense in the NFL. And joining us now live from the Believe land, he is a Cleveland sports talk legend. Everybody knows him from the Browns beat. We've had the pleasure of hosting him previously here on Six Rings and Football Things. You can give him a follow at Daryl Ruiter, RuiterFan. No, actually, it's right or wrong because I've always remembered you from that because it's one of my favorite addresses. Ladies and gentlemen, Daryl Ruiter from the Fan in Cleveland. What's up, my guy? Great to have you back. Uh-oh. I don't think Daryl can hear us.
We're having some technical difficulties, perhaps.
I can't hear you.
Oh,
Oh
we hear you loud
no.
and clear.
Yeah, oh man, that's such a we can hear you, Daryl, but you can't hear us? I guess not. Oh man, hopefully this is not a sign of things to come for Sunday. All right, we will endeavor to fix that momentarily. Daryl will take you out of the room for a quick second. I have the audio tuned up and everything for you. So all right, Mego, we'll just see if we can I'll take Daryl out of the room for a quick
I
second
do
there.
need to ask very quickly because Jeff Stenberg in the chat says negativity is a ridiculous term. It's condescending, ridiculous, and completely accurate. Did Andy and I have like Andy Hart, who coined
Mhm.
the negativity
Mhm.
perspective for me? Did we have like a Freaky Friday situation where we swapped brains on this? Because every time I turn on the radio, Andy's like, this is the greatest ever. And isn't this the greatest ever? And isn't this the best time? And I'm the one coming in being like, you know what's going to be scary? Having Jared Wilson and another rookie right next to him and Will Campbell trying to handle the stunts that the best friend in the NFL is presenting.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. Well, I think Andy and many in Pat's Nation and or the media have been trying to ride the wave of optimism that Vrabel, if you will, and Drake May have been providing. I was with you. You know, I thought that the Saints game, while still excellent, that they found a way to not have a letdown game. We said it wasn't a trap game, but not have a letdown game coming off of the Buffalo win in New Orleans. Well, it was good. Yeah, you should be like Vrabel even said after the game, no way, I'm not going to let you guys celebrate this one. But at the same time, yeah, Spencer Rattler looked good for a while, and they were able to move the ball against you. You played bend but don't break defense, forcing them to take field goals and not touchdowns. But calling it concerning to a degree as the one word descriptive wasn't far fetched or inappropriate. Like there are things to sort of be mindful of.
The chat is also saying that I'm just mad that my Commanders look completely toast, which is fair, like very fair. I see that and I agree with that. But yeah, I think that this again is going to be a little bit of a wake up call that your defense is also going to have to show up here. And the run defense has been spectacular. As I noted last week, they continue to have this interesting stat of they have not given up 50 yards to any running back in the entire league. This is going to be going into week 8 of that. I think the longest streak is like, I don't know, 10, maybe 12. I'll have to go back and check the records on that. So you have a formidable opponent with Judkins and
Yep.
from
He has
Ohio
been he
State.
has been running like I got to be honest, like Quinshon Judkins has been running like an absolute juggernaut. I am a little bit afraid, just a little bit afraid that there could be let's just say Cleveland keeps it tight or Cleveland sneaks out the dub, they just suffocate and suppress. So faint audio. I'm sorry, Daryl's letting us know that I think we have the audio fixed, which is great. But let's just say that Cleveland totally snuffs out the Patriots offense on Sunday. They struggle. There's a pick and a turnover. Judkins has a big game, first good game against the Patriots rush D. Then we're going to be having all of these Monday auxiliary headlines of, yeah, they drafted the wrong Ohio State running back. We got Travion, who's done Travion nothing. And Judkins is like a new Derrick Hayes. He's like a new Nick Chubb out there.
Will that be wrong?
Nope.
I mean, the way that you use that voice, my question is, would they be totally wrong? Like, we can only say what we see, right? And you can say, whoa, pump the brakes. It's very early in their career. But if I see that headline and that's the way it goes, and the Patriots become some JV version of the Packers going up against this Cleveland Browns defense, that's the kind of headline where I'd read it and go, hey, somebody who wrote that is a little bit edgy, but a little bit smart.
That's okay. That's okay. All right. So here we go. I'll read this last comment, and then Daryl, we got our technical difficulties fixed. Let's get some behind the enemy lines perspective. One of my favorites always in the chat, the terror from Tampa, Jeff Stenberg. Guys, are we going to put together a same game parlay for Cleveland, New England? I got some good tips from Chauncey Billups. Oh, never too soon. Never too soon in my world, guys.
I don't want to talk about that. I refuse.
Nope, we're not doing that. Today
NBA,
is not the day for that
when
podcast.
The NBA haters came out yesterday on social media, I had to shut down my
I'm sure you did.
access. I was
Let's
like,
let's find out if our special guest actually has an X-ray card table. Joining us now from Cleveland once again. Ladies and gentlemen, the Cleveland sports talk legend at Daryl. He's Daryl Ruiter at Ruiter Wrong, of course. If you want to give him a follow, Ruiter Wrong, WFAN. We got all of our technical difficulties fixed now. Daryl, welcome. First, great to have you back on the pod after a couple of years.
Thanks for having me. And I do not have any more Chauncey Billups jokes. Actually, I do. I have a whole list of them, but since you're so kind enough to invite me back on the pod, I will keep them to myself.
Yeah, I got to say, though, Daryl, one thing that people were thinking about yesterday as the big NBA scandal broke out was, look at this. Chauncey Billups played in Boston. Terry Rozier played in Boston. You can't have a cheating scandal in American sports without Boston being heavily involved, right? Because that's what we do.
I think that's fair, but also too, Damon Jones, who is a former Cleveland Cavalier coach and player, also wrapped up in this whole mess too. So Cleveland is just an hour away from Youngstown, Ohio. So I'm just going to leave that there, but you can, connect the dots between Boston and Youngstown and Pittsburgh and Cleveland.
All right. So let's get into this. For some reason, in New England, even though they're 5-2, won 4 in a row, 3 on the road, coming back home, they're 4-0 on the road overall, 1-2 at home. But there's this feeling like, this is going to be the reality check. The 5-2 team is acting, or at least a lot in the fan base are acting afeared of a 2-5 team coming to town. But the Cleveland defense is legit. Is there, on the other side of the ball, is there confidence that Cleveland can come in and put an end to this streak of anomalous achievements and, wonder stats that Drake May and the Pats offense are putting up?
Well, for me, the only way the Browns can beat the Patriots is on the ground, because they don't have a Drake May. They do not have a quarterback that is capable of completing a pass beyond 20 yards. And that I'm not joking. He's attempted 4 of them and completed 1. His longest completion is 24 yards in 3 starts. Now, last week, to be fair to Dillon Gabriel, and I've been real tough on him locally, basically because the Browns have treated a 3rd-round pick like he's a 1st-round pick. I mean, they gave this kid first-team reps during OTAs, okay, which is unheard of, and that was also a warning sign that, yes, you will see this guy very quickly at some point here in the 2025 season. But this offense for the Browns is not explosive at all. The one area where they have the potential to be explosive is on the ground with Quinshon Judkins, the rookie out of Ohio State, who has pretty much all of the Browns' explosive offensive plays this year. He scored 3 touchdowns last week against a very terrible Miami Dolphins team. But the problem for the Browns is the Patriots really good at stopping the run. I don't think they've allowed a 50-yard rusher this year.
Correct.
No explosive runs, about 3.5 yards per carry max. Well, that's the one area where the Browns are good. Now, opportunity might knock for Dillon this week because, the Patriots, I think they're in the mid-20s, 24, 25, something like that, defending the pass. Mm-hmm. So maybe this is an opportunity for Gabriel and Kevin Stefanski and the offensive coordinator, Tom Reese, to take the reins off the kid and see what he can do. But I have not been impressed with Dillon Gabriel yet. He is not a player, in my view, that elevates those around him, which you like to see in young quarterbacks. And you guys are already seeing that with Drake May. Haven't seen that here in Cleveland with Dillon Gabriel just yet. And hey, mate, this is why they play the game. Maybe that starts to materialize this week up at Foxboro.
I would recommend that in the script for the offense that they attack the Patriots defense in their first possession, because the Patriots, their first drive, the Patriots give up so many points. It's just like, where is this defense? They take an entire quarter almost to wake up and get into action. But I want to ask you, Daryl, from the perspective of going into this game, has Drake May become a quarterback that is feared by an opposing defense, even statistically the best defense in the league? Or is it like, okay, we're going to wake this kid up and make him realize like what a real NFL defense can do to him?
I don't know that he's feared, but he's certainly respected. Talking to a lot of Browns in the locker room this week, they certainly respect what he is doing because he's not just doing check down Charlie stuff that we're seeing from Dillon Gabriel. He is pushing the ball down the field, and he's completing 75% of his passes. The touchdown to interception ratio, as you guys know, that, I mean, that's just phenomenal to be 12-2 and have that steep of an advantage in that category as a rookie. So I don't know if the Browns are going in fearing him, but I can tell they certainly respect the start that he's off to. Certainly there's some familiarity with Josh McDaniels, who's a Northeast Ohio native. Of course, Mike Vrabel, the Mutual Admiration Society underway this week. Vrabel blowing kisses at the Browns blowing kisses back at Mike Vrabel.
Like, get a room already, guys. Come on.
Right. But yeah, I think that it's more of a respect thing, Megan, than a fear. And that's okay too, because, we've seen with this Browns defense, the formula for them is to get after the quarterback, make his life miserable there in the backfield, force him into making some poor decisions, which ends up helping the secondary. And this is a secondary and a defense, by the way, doesn't force a lot of turnovers. Don't be fooled by that 3 defensive turnover plus a special teams turnover performance last week. Again, it's the Dolphins, and that's kind of how I'm viewing that win for the Browns last week, even though I know a couple of weeks earlier they did beat the Green Bay Packers down 10-0 with like 3 minutes to play.
Yeah, listen, the Dolphins are an absolute disaster at this point. I mean, you've got, Tua is singing a different song every week and basically just telling people that he's given up on the season. You got Mike McDaniel coming out there and saying, like, the game plan this week is hopefully not to throw 10 picks. Translation. I've wanted out of a lot of jobs in my life too, Daryl, and that is him just basically begging to get out of that gig. So they're a mess. Patriots did not take quite the same advantage of them that you guys did last week, but that makes all the sense in the world.
Well, what you saw is a contrast in cultures with the two organizations as well. I give the Browns a lot of grief for their culture, the lack of consistent winning that we have here in Cleveland, the fact that every year, outside of the occasional 11-5 season, it's usually a dumpster fire. They play 3-4 quarterbacks every year. They don't win a lot of games. The NFL draft is Cleveland's Super Bowl because really that's the only hope you have is the future, the prospects of what could be, right? I'm going to give Kevin Stefanski a lot of credit. He tore into them last Monday in a team meeting. It came out. Joe Bitonio wasn't supposed to tell us after the game, but he did. Kevin doesn't like it when in team meeting stuff gets out there. But Joel talked about how Kevin tore into them after they lost to Pittsburgh. It was a very lackluster effort against the Steelers, who basically own the Browns. They haven't won in Pittsburgh for 22 years. And so
22. Wait, didn't they win? But there was one playoff win, though, right?
Regular season.
Yeah. Okay, I was going to say, I think the end of the Ben Roethlisberger postseason experience was delivered by this plucky this undersized quarterback down in Tampa.
Who isn't here, and his name shall not be mentioned.
No, honestly, like, you talk about like the draft being your Super Bowl and all the different quarterbacks. Like, you may see 3 or 4 under center this year again in Cleveland. All the jokes about the weeping wall and the jersey that gets 3 or 4 new names stitched on it every year. It's bananas. I'll ask this question later, but I just want to, before I throw it back over to Mego's question, there's been rumblings of this potentially could be Stefanski's last year. I just, as an adult, a football fan, Pats fan, whatever, I find that to be insulting. Like, what this guy has had to deal with out in Cleveland, just the, roster mismanagement, ownership, the Deshaun Watson debacle, whatever. Like, the fact that he's kept this team even semi-respectable over all these years and been a 2-time coach of the year. I mean, they should be signing this guy to an extension and doing him right, not wrong.
Well, they signed him to an extension last year, so that's been taken care of.
Okay.
Yeah, and they did the same with the GM, Andrew Berry, who has a long fancy schmancy title. The Browns don't do much well, but they do fancy titles well in that building. But there is a conversation about Stefanski potentially being on the hot seat here. I'm with you. I don't know what he's supposed to do, considering the quarterback situation he's constantly given, considering the outside influences within that organization that he has to deal with as well. The fact that he took the Browns to the playoffs not once but twice, first time obviously during the COVID year, and we all remember the challenges that presented for a lot of teams, including the Browns. It was like on a weekly basis there was something going on, dealing, that they had to deal with the pandemic and COVID tests and things like that. Heck, I mean, half the Stefanski and a bunch of players weren't even able to play and go to Pittsburgh for that playoff game. Mike Prefer, the special teams coordinator, was on the sideline for that game, and Stefanski had to watch it from his basement. So I admit I carry water for Kevin Stefanski. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. I don't grade him based off his press conferences, which, by the way, watching paint dry might be more entertaining than watching.
They're a Belichickian snooze, if you will.
Yeah, big time snooze fest. But his philosophy is that he never wants to be the headline. He never wants something that comes out of his mouth to dominate the headlines and be the story. And that's good leadership. I mean, that's what you want. So, but at the same time, there have been some situations where you're like, okay, Kevin, what are you doing? We had that situation in London when they lost to the Vikings in the final 3 minutes, grossly mismanaged the end of that football game. Very disappointing. But that happens. Like, Kevin's human. He's going to make mistakes. But I think sometimes Browns fans, they're upset that they're 2-5. And I've been saying this locally on my station ad nauseum. I'm like a broken record. Like, I'm sorry. Did you go into the season expecting them to be any better than 2-5 at this point? Like, you might not like how they got to 2-5. Had they made a field goal in week 1, okay, now they're 3-4. Had they gotten a stop and not let Carson Wentz drive 80 yards in the final 2 minutes in London, Vikings, okay, now you're a 500 football team potentially, but it is what it is, and you stole the game from Green Bay, so like it works both ways here.
So you bring up my final question there, Daryl, is that Green Bay game. And I think there is an interesting comparison to be made with Jordan Love and Drake May and even just their play styles. Is there anything that you saw from what Cleveland was able to do? Obviously, the way that they play offensively, it's got to be a low scoring game for them to be in it on both sides. But defensively, the way that they got after Jordan Love, the way that they were able to overwhelm him, is that something that you expect them to be able to replicate against May this Sunday?
Well, I think that's what they have to do. The book on Jordan Love is if you pressure him enough, eventually you're going to force him to do something stupid. And he did. He threw an interception, and it allowed the Browns to gave them a very short field, which they needed because the offense could move the ball, quite frankly, all afternoon. And they were able to cash that in and tie the football game. They ultimately ended up winning it because they blocked the field goal with 27 seconds left. And, they perfectly executed the catch, get down, kill the clock, get the kicker on the field, kick the field goal, and everyone drive home safely with a smile on your face.
So that's the blueprint for like how Cleveland would. I'm not saying we're seeing soothsaying into Sunday, Daryl, but if Cleveland's going to pull off the upset at Gillette, it's probably going to involve forcing Drake into some bad plays, efficient ball management themselves, and a big kick.
100%. And look, this is basically the formula for the Browns to be able to win games. They did the same thing week 1 against Cincinnati. Unfortunately, they left 4 points on the board, missed the PAT, missed the field goal. So, and those things happen. But if they're going to beat the Patriots on Sunday, they're probably going to win a fairly low-scoring game. They scored 31 points last week. It was the first time they scored 30-plus in a game. Actually, it was the most points they had scored in a game going back to that Denver loss, the Jameis Winston 6-touchdown bonanza, 3 to the Browns, 3 to the Broncos. That was the last. They've been mired in this. They've been scoring 17 points per game. That's their ceiling. They score 17 and they're done. So that's kind of like what I'm expecting from a point output, anywhere from 17 to 20 points in New England. And then the defense is going to have to carry the day. They're going to have to get after Drake May. The secondary is going to have to catch footballs if they're able to get their hands on said footballs, which that's really hard to do with the way Drake's playing. And the pressure is going to have to be created by not just Myles Garrett, but the rest of the Browns defensive front. Defensive player to keep your eye on, Carson Schwessinger, rookie linebacker from UCLA.
Oh, UCLA. That kid was He is sneaky good you guys like the Patriots linebackers. That's where maybe like a guy like another draft crush I had. I have way too many draft crushes every year, Daryl. I tell myself to stop doing it, and then they end up in Cleveland, and I'm wanting and wishing, but you can't complain when you're 5-2. Schweschinger's great. Harold Fannin, my God, this kid has been an absolute target monster, like he was in college as well. I think it was our pal Tom Curran, who works for NBC Sports Boston, who said if the Patriots get more than 20 points, they shouldn't have any problem winning. If Cleveland is able to punch through the ground and drag the Patriots down into their hell, that kind of rock fight could easily tend to favor the Browns. I got a last question for you after we do like a score prediction, Daryl, because you've been more than generous with your time. Mego, what do you have for Sunday?
I have 16-13 Patriots. I think that the Browns make it, I wouldn't say interesting, because I think a lot of fans think of an interesting game as being, like 31-30 coming down to the very final seconds of the game. But I think that Drake has a big challenge in the pass rush, and seeing, I wouldn't go as so far as to say seeing ghosts, but maybe seeing a few traps that Cleveland lays out for him. But I think ultimately the Patriots are able to pull this out.
I got 20-13 as well. I think there's a touchdown late in the game that is set up. I think it's a grinder all the way. Patriots opportunistically pick off Dylan Gabriel. Maybe Gonzalez gets one against his fellow Duck. Squeak it out, but it's a 4-quarter grind of an affair. I know these scores all sort of sound like, wait, is that a Sox Guardians score, or is that like a Patriots Browns score? But don't be surprised if it reminds you of that as well. And it should be an in-game show where I think, Mego, we do talk about what you said at the beginning of the podcast. This is a bit of a more reality check. Like, guys, it's not going to be Drake May just zinging 60-yard passes to Pop Douglas, Kayshon Boutte, and Steph Diggs, as good as he's been. And Daryl, he has been everything we could have ever asked and then some. The leadership alone, I think, is worth the price of admission with Steph Diggs this year. How do you see it playing out, sir?
The Browns got Tyson Campbell now. They traded Greg Newsome for him, and he got a pick 6 last week. So I'm just saying,
not saying, just saying.
And Dylan Gabriel has yet to throw an interception. That's the good news. The bad news is he only has thrown 3 touchdown passes. So there's that aspect of it. I have the Patriots winning 20-17. I think 17 points is really the Browns' ceiling. They scored more than 17 points in Cleveland last week just 4 times since the beginning of the 2022 season. And so I think it's going to be 21.
All right. It's a tight one all 3 ways. We all have the Patriots with the win. Daryl, last question for you. I think I've told you before on a previous podcast what a fan I am of watching live sports in Cleveland. I think it's a great American sports city. The Muni Lot is still one of the greatest tailgates and pregame pigskin parties in the world. Always rooting for you, just not this particular Sunday. But I have to imagine you, as a Cleveland fan who's been covering this team for forever and are one of the trusted, vested voices of Cleveland sports, how are you feeling about how things are going down at Chapel Bill this year?
No, it's chef's kiss. Well, you forget. Listen, he assembled, like, similar to the Brown season. Did anyone expect anything different? He assembled the island of misfit toys, starting with his GM, Mike Lombardi. You know what? I'm going to give you a Mike Lombardi story. So,
okay,
this is the Haslams came in as owners officially in the middle of the 2012 season. They blew everybody out. They did their own thing in 2013. So they hire Joe Banner hires Mike Lombardi to be the Browns GM. Now, legendary writers here in Cleveland, Mary Kay Cabot, who went into the Hall of Fame this year. Congratulations to her. Tony Grossi, who's been in the market forever. They remember Mike Lombardi from the Bill Belichick days here in Cleveland. And it was probably the most hostile press conference I've ever participated in. And in the middle of the press conference, I see Joe Banner feverishly scribble something down on a piece of paper and slide it over to Mike. So press conference ends, they leave the room. I noticed that Joe did not take the paper with him. So I ran up, and it kills me to this day that I did not grab it and take it with me as a souvenir. It had 3 words on it. Keep it short. And he underlined it for Mike Lombardi. And that's the
wow.
Former Browns coach Freddie Kitchens, who was an absolute train wreck here as the offensive coordinator.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he assembled the island of misfit toys, and he's also with a 22-year-old who's old enough to be his granddaughter, a great-granddaughter. And people expected this to go any different in Chapel Hill. So I look forward to the buyout. They put out what was it, 2 weeks ago, they put out that statement that everything's fine. We're committed to each other. Yes, I'm looking forward to the divorce proceedings at the end of the season.
I knew that would be too delicious, a medium rare steak with garlic mashed potatoes and green beans served up for you there. We'll have the sommelier come around to make sure to pair that with a nice red for you as well. Folks, you can give him a follow for the best perspective, information, and analysis on everything in the wide world of Cleveland sports at Ruiter Wrong, FANRUITERWRONGFAN. And of course, he provides the best beat coverage on the Browns and all Cleveland sports for 92.3 The Fan, which is in the Odyssey family as well. Daryl, thanks for making some time for us this week. I wanted to make sure we served you up a nice little meatball with extra parm there at the end for your time. I think it's going to be a tight one on Sunday as well. Mego and her Megativity segment will be joining us on the post game. She's really the most positive person in all of Boston sports, even though she's a Commanders fan and from the Mid-Atlantic as well, Daryl. But certain people just like having a little fun at our expense because, it's Boston. The only way we show love is by busting each other's balls. And, of course, the old pal at Fitzy GFY here. I'll be on this afternoon. We'll be talking to Josh McDaniels on the afternoon show and on the post-game show Sunday. Should be a good one, you guys. Thanks for tuning in to the latest episode of Six Rings and Football Things, brought to you by Odyssey, WEEI, and 2400 Sports. For Mego, for Daryl, thank you very much again for your time, sir. Hope it's a good one on Sunday. Have a great year. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening. Go